Hello and welcome to episode number 53 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, iHeart Radio. My name is Esports and Gaming Insider Jason Fanelli, and oh boy, has it been a week for video games. We are now on the other side of E3 2021 and all of the announcements that came with it. It is in the rear view mirror, and this episode is going to be dedicated solely to recapping everything that we saw in that event. We have multiple game announcements. We're going to talk about the major conferences and what was announced there. I'm going to go over my 10 favorite announcements of the show, and then we'll wrap up with some more talk about this show and its future. So, without any ado, without further ado, it's been a long week. Can you tell? Can you tell? Can you tell? Without further ado, let's get right in to the 6 in 60 seconds. The Overwatch League's June Joust was won by the Shanghai Dragons, who defeated the Dallas Fuel 4-3 after going down 3-1 in the best-of-7 series. Call of Duty's Major 4 is happening this weekend, the first live local area network event since the pandemic began. Elsewhere, Riot Games has announced KO, a new Valorant agent, a robot that can suppress other agents' abilities. Meanwhile, in the E3 2021 awards, the most anticipated game was given to Forza Horizon 5 and the best conference to Xbox/Bethesda. Elden Ring resurfaces at the Summer Games Fest kickoff show, confirmed for a January 28th, 2022 release. And Breath of the Wild 2 leads Nintendo's announcement at the E3 Nintendo Direct this past Tuesday, which I will be getting into a little further in the show. Those are your 6 in 60 seconds. And as always, the 6 in 60 seconds are brought to you tonight by the sponsor of Cheesesteaks and Controllers, Ghost Shaver. The Ghost Shaver is a shave above the rest, designed to feel like it's an extension of your arm, allowing users to reach anywhere on the head, face, or body. The precision cutting system gives you a close and smooth shave every time, with 5 rotary flex action super thin blades and a patented handle design that fits into the palm of your hand, giving you a firm and controlled grip with every single use. Go to ghostshaver.com to check things out and get yours. Ghost Shaver, a shave above the rest. All right, yes, let's talk about E3 2021. What a week it has been, from Thursday until technically today with Xbox's extended showcase, but if we're talking about the core show, it ended on Tuesday night. Just 6 straight days of announcements and surprises and gameplay and interviews and trailers, and just a lot to parse through, a lot to really sink your teeth into, which is what I am planning to do right here, right now. We're going to go over the main 5 conferences. So the Summer Games Fest kickoff show, Ubisoft Forward, the Xbox Bethesda Games Showcase, Square Enix Presents, and the Nintendo Direct. And I'm just going to go through everything that was announced and everything that was talked about in those shows in order. So let's start with the Summer Games Fest, which kicked us off with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, a spin-off of the Borderlands franchise by 2K and Gearbox. We got some retro goodness in Metal Slug Tactics, a new approach to a classic SNK franchise. Hideo Kojima, famed developer, showed up to announce Death Stranding Director's Cut, followed by Jurassic World Evolution 2, a sequel to the Jurassic World Park Building Simulator. That trailer featured Jeff Goldblum. Very, very cool little trailer there. I would check that out. A couple of smaller titles, Lost Ark, Among Us updates, Salt and Sacrifice. Call of Duty Warzone's Season 4 trailer was played. We saw some Solar Ash, the PlayStation 5 exclusive indie game coming soon. Chivalry 2, which is actually already out. A brief tease of the new hero that was announced today for Valorant, KO. And when I mean brief, I mean 7 seconds. We saw an update on Escape from Tarkov, 2 Point Campus, which from the Sega's 2 Point franchise, where you build up your own campus and like a Sim City sort of thing, but specifically for a college campus, following up from their first game, 2 Point Hospital. We saw the Smite Stranger Things crossover. We saw that Painkiller is coming. A new Painkiller is coming out in another very short tease. Indie studio Stray Bombay, run by Chet Falachek, who is a long-time veteran of the games industry with credits in Half-Life and Portal and other Valve-type games, revealed their first game, The Anacrusis. Rocket League and Fast and Furious announced their partnership, followed by Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt, a vampire-themed battle royale game in the style of Fortnite and other like that. Was able to play a demo of that and write about it for MMORPG.com. That was a pretty cool little demo there. The next game in Bandai Namco's horror franchise, The Dark Pictures, was revealed, The House of Ashes, followed by a new trailer for Tales of Arise. And did you know, just by saying Tales of Arise near John Jansen of Fox PHL The Gambler, you'll be able to get him to smile like a goofball. So remember that next time you see him. Sky and Planet of Lana were next, along with Overwatch 2's redesigns for a few heroes. Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, which comes out soon, was announced for Day 1 Xbox Game Pass. Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin saw a new trailer. In fact, that game saw a new trailer, I think, at 3 or 4 different conferences. So I don't know that we can really... We're just going to keep saying it over and over again because it keeps happening over and over again. Then we saw Endless Dungeon. We saw a new cutscene with Giancarlo Esposito for Far Cry 6. The Nier Automata Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout crossover. Genshin Impact's new hero. Another trailer for Back for Blood, which is the Left 4 Dead style zombie shooter game coming out in October. Finally, for the first time in a long time, we saw Tunic, a Zelda style adventure game exclusive to Xbox that really had disappeared for a long time. Finally resurfaced at Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest kickoff show with a demo out right now on Xbox until the end of the weekend, so check that out. Then the final 3 announcements of the Summer Game Fest were Tribes of Midgard, Evil Dead the Game, the 4-player action shooter starring Bruce Campbell as Ash himself, and then the big return, Elden Ring, after first being announced at E3 2019 and disappearing since then. The Hidetaka Miyazaki, George R.R. Martin crossover, so the Dark Souls creator and the creator of Game of Thrones collaboration, not crossover, finally not only is back in the limelight, but it has a solid release date of January 28th. So not only is it now finally back in our mindset, it's pretty close. So Elden Ring fans or Dark Souls fans, circle your calendars because you finally have something to be excited about. Good for you. Next up, that was the end of the Summer Games Fest Live. That was the note that it ended on. And I want to congratulate Jeff Keighley, not that he would ever hear this, for that event. Really set the week off right, had a lot of great announcements, great things to really get excited for. His own excitement was palpable in the introduction to Elden Ring. I thought he was going to jump out of his clothes. He was so excited. Like, standing on tippy toes, big smile on his face. Good for him. You love to see stuff like that. But then after that, we didn't really have anything until Saturday when Ubisoft Forward kicked us off on Saturday afternoon. Side note, I spent Ubisoft Forward and everything on Saturday in bed dealing with a horrible stomach bug. But it was interesting to watch E3 from my bed for once. Got some updates to games that are already out. For Honor's next season. Trackmania got an update. Brawlhalla is adding the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a brief time. The Crew 2 had its Year 4 update brought out a little bit. And then Watch Dogs Legion's Bloodline was also announced from that conference. Just a new piece of content for Watch Dogs Legion, which we've not played. I highly recommend it. It's a great game. in London, trying to like take down and hack and stuff like that. Very, very cool game. That was all the pre-show. The main Ubisoft Forward show started with Rainbow Six Extraction, a new take on the Rainbow Six formula, 3-player co-op shooter, dealing with an alien parasite that is converting people into horrible monsters. That was really, really cool trailer. Good way to start us off. Then Rocksmith Plus, the computer program that teaches you how to play guitar, was announced, followed by new information on Riders Republic, which is their snowboarding, BMX biking, skateboarding type of game coming out soon. We saw an animated trailer for North Star, the next hero in Rainbow Six Siege. And then we saw a brief trailer for a celebration of Ghost Recon's 20th anniversary. Not really a whole lot there yet, but it's coming. Just Dance 2022 got its time in the sun, followed by updates to Assassin's Creed Valhalla and what's coming up next there. Another Far Cry 6 trailer starring Giancarlo Esposito, but this was at the Ubisoft show, so I kind of expected it. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, a sequel to Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle for the Switch, was formally announced after being leaked just before the show by Nintendo themselves, of all people. This is a follow-up to the excellent Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, a highly underrated game on Switch, which I recommend you check out if you have not done so yet. And then Ubisoft Forward ended with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, an open-world exploration action game set in James Cameron's Avatar universe. I forgot that they announced they were doing that, and seeing that on this stage was pretty cool. Looking forward to see more of what's going on there. Being a fan of the movie and of the park in Disney World. 3 other movies are coming now soon, but we don't have those yet, clearly. So the game is coming up pretty soon, and that's exciting. So apparently 2022 is what they're shooting for that. So that was the end of Ubisoft Forward, a solid show. If you ask me, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10 across the board. And just to back up, Summer Games Fest, I would give a 9, just because of the breadth of games that it had on offer, from big AAA games to the smallest indie games. And then Ubisoft here, 8 out of 10, because it had a nice mix of all their franchises, some new games, and everything that we want from them. Moving on to the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase, which kicked off with the first trailer for Starfield, the first original IP from Bethesda's internal main game studio in 25 years. Elder Scrolls and Fallout being the other 2 that they have. This game was announced for November 11th of 2022, so it's a far way away. But to see it living, to get an idea of what might be happening, that sort of thing. In fact, during a separate video that came out, like a making of, people were able to transcribe a memo being written to be placed in the game that gave us a little more of a background of what's happening. Space pirates and things like that, what you would expect. So Starfield is here. Pretty cool demo. A pretty cool trailer. Excited to see more of that. Followed up with Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl, which really impressed me. I thought that was a really cool trailer. About 7 or 8 minutes of gameplay, just giving us the gist of what's going on in that world. We saw more Back 4 Blood. We saw an original IP called Contraband by Avalanche Studios, who made Just Cause. We saw an interesting collaboration between Rare's Sea of Thieves and Disney, bringing the Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow, and the like to Sea of Thieves. Yakuza Like a Dragon coming to Xbox Game Pass, which is already there now. So if you had Game Pass, you can play that now. The entire Yakuza series is on Xbox now. We got gameplay trailer for Battlefield 2042, which was announced Wednesday before all this began. We got a release date for 12 minutes of August 19th, 2021. Very excited for that one. As well as new information on Psychonauts 2, Fallout 76, both Steel Rain and the Expeditions The Pit missions. Elder Scrolls Online saw a console enhanced launch trailer as well. And then we saw a neat little indie game, which I find to be very, very funny, and everyone should watch the trailer at least once, called Party Animals, with these big animals. Look like stuffed animals just pushing each other around and whacking each other with weapons. It's a funny, silly game that I recommend you check that trailer out. Hades is coming to Xbox in August. That was followed by Somerville, an absolutely harrowing trailer for an upcoming indie game that I was calling a parent's worst nightmare. You'll see when you watch it. Halo Infinite had multiplayer details dropped in a very solid demo, with even more information coming out later in the week. Halo Infinite shaping up to be a good one, but the fact that we still don't know its release date and it's still down as Holiday 2021 is a bit worrisome. That was followed up by Diablo 2 Resurrected, a remake of Diablo 2 coming to all major consoles and PC. Plague Tale Requiem, a follow-up to Plague Tale, I don't remember the name, the subtitle of the first game. Came out in 2018, 2017, something like that. A bit of a cult underground hit, getting a sequel here. Some Far Cry 6 gameplay followed up next. Far Cry 6's third appearance at E3 so far. Then we had a few indie games, Slime Rancher 2, Shredders, Atomic Heart, a very impressive game called Replaced with some weird graphical style where the players are in like pixel and the backgrounds are not. Very cool stuff. We saw an update for Grounded, the Shroom and Doob update featuring giant spiders. No thank you. More updates for Among Us, including 15-player lobbies. We saw a Xbox Game Pass Day 1 trailer for Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes and Ayuden Chronicle Rising, a new game that was kickstarted and made by the people who were behind Konami's Suikoden series. That'll be coming to Xbox on Day 1. The Ascent, coming out in July, is also coming to Game Pass. That was next, followed by Age of Empires 4, a pretty neat trailer there. After that, we had The Outer Worlds 2, which is probably my favorite trailer of all of E3, just for how tongue-in-cheek and funny it is. Microsoft Flight Simulator, for Forza Horizon 5, and we ended with a brand new IP from Arcane Austin under the Bethesda umbrella called Redfall. 4 players, each with certain skills. 4 players, each with certain skills, fighting vampires and other monsters. Very cool game there. Finally, we're looking at Square and Nintendo. Square Enix presents their big announcement was Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, a single-player adventure game where you play as Star-Lord and direct your Guardians of the Galaxy around. We saw some remasters in Final Fantasy's Pixel remaster for 1 through 6 and Legend of Mana. We saw updates to Marvel Avengers. We saw a montage of mobile games coming out from Square Enix, including Near Reincarnation, War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, and Hitman Sniper The Shadows, which I wrote an exclusive article for on GameSpot. Hitman Sniper, go check that out. Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier was another mobile game, followed by Babylon's Fall, an action game in partnership with Platinum Games, which seemed to rub people the wrong way with how it's coming around. So that's an interesting one to keep an eye on, maybe for the wrong reasons. We saw Life is Strange Remastered and True Colors, so updates on the Life is Strange series. First, the remastered original games, and True Colors, which is the next one. And Square Enix's big announcement at the end was Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, a Dark Souls-style take on Final Fantasy, featuring a trio of characters trying to kill chaos, which is a phrase that you hear a lot in that first trailer. One of those games that the trailer really took a beating from public opinion, and then the demo came out a day later, and people were like, oh, no, this is okay. All right, we can get behind this. That sort of thing. So that was the end of Square Enix, which moves us on to the last big one of the weekend. That is Nintendo, which started with Kazuya Mishima from Tekken coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Another trailer for Life is Strange, both the remastered and True Colors. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy also coming to Switch. A couple of indie games followed, Worms Rumble and Astria Ascending, which is an excellent-looking RPG that I highly recommend you put on your radar if you like those games. Sega showed us more of 2 Point Campus, as well as Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. The 20th anniversary of Super Monkey Ball is this year, and this game is coming out to celebrate that. Mario Party Superstars, which has 100 mini-games from all 10 Mario Party games, as well as some old school boards from the Nintendo 64 versions of the game. Very, very neat idea there, which I am into. One of the biggest announcements of the weekend was next in Metroid Dread, first acknowledging that Metroid Prime 4 is still being worked on, but then also giving us a brand new 2D Metroid to sink our teeth into in the meantime. That was awesome. Just Dance 2022 showed up again. Cruisin' Blast, the next racer in the Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' World arcade franchise coming to Switch from Raw Thrills. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot and all of its DLC are coming to the Switch, followed by a brief informational trailer about Mario Golf Super Rush and Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. There it is again. Next up, WarioWare saw a brand new Switch title called WarioWare Get It Together. Wario looks like the head of a business or some sort of like company, and you have to help him with mini games in order to succeed. Interesting little concept there. Got into Shin Megami Tensei 5 with a new trailer, Danganronpa Decadence, which brings the entire excellent Danganronpa trilogy to the Switch. Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water, the Wii U Fatal Frame game that was only in Japan, is coming over to the States. Doom Eternal for the Switch is getting the first DLC release soon, as is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 and Strange Brigade. We saw a little bit more on Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and then we had another big-time drop in Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, a remaking of the original Advance Wars for the Game Boy Advance. That's pretty cool. We got our first glimpse of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity DLC called Pulse of the Ancients. We saw another trailer for The Legend of Skyward Sword HD, and Nintendo's final announcement, basically the final announcement of E3, was more information on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, whatever that may be called. We saw some gameplay. We got some information about it. That did say 2022, but let's see if it makes that. But that was the capper to E3. So a lot of stuff to like, a lot of stuff to parse through, figure out what of those things are in your wheelhouse, the kind of things that you want to play and you want to learn about, and we can try and talk about them there. But for now, E3 21 is in the back burner. Time to move on to, what's the next one? I guess Gamescom opening night live in August will be the next time, assuming that any presentations aren't randomly scheduled between now and then, to get our gaming fix. Now, PlayStation was not at this event at all. We'll get into that a little bit, but they might have an event coming soon as well, just to counter this. That we will have to wait and see on. Sayonara E3 2021. You were a weird show, but you had some good stuff. Looking forward to you being back live in LA next year. All right, let's talk about my top 10 favorite announcements from E3 2021, what I thought were the best pieces of information coming from the show at the end. The ones that made me most excited, the ones that got the biggest cheer pop out of me. So let's start with the first one, and that is Kazuya Mishima coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Tekken makes perfect sense in Smash Bros. The fact that Bandai Namco has been making the game since its inception, but only brought in Pac-Man is absurd, which was the thinking that I had used for Dr. Eggman and Sega, but Sega does not have Sonic, but Sega doesn't have a hands-on approach to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Bandai Namco is in the room, so seeing them get their second character instead of my predicted Dr. Eggman, I'll get over it. But Kazuya looks awesome. He's got a bunch of his moves. He turns devil form. He shoots the laser beams. Definitely true to form, and I'm looking forward to see more of what he's got. Next is Rainbow Six Extraction. I love the idea of an alien parasite taking over the world and a squad of 3 going in and try to fight it, whether they're trying to nuke the parasite or get supplies or what have you. Very, very cool take on this monster fighting zombie parasite genre, whatever. They can't all be, the same, but this Rainbow Six Extraction definitely has a lot going for it. I'm curious how much they'll take from Siege when they are making this game, whether it be like the heroes that you use or the tech that each one has. At first, many people may even think that it's a DLC of Siege, but it's not. It's its own game. So definitely have that on my radar as well. Next up was Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. Now, a lot of people gave the trailer a lot of crap because the guy looks generic and kept saying the word chaos and how he wants to kill chaos, so on and so forth. But then you come to find out that while you're playing the game, you get more gear and you can put that gear on, which takes, which takes a little bit of the sting off of the fact that he looked like an Eminem impersonator off. And then the action is really good. The game control is really good according to the demo. The action is solid, and there's a lot more to take in from that game before it launches. So definitely keep an eye on that one It may actually end up surprising some people more than it already has. Next one is Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. Man, I love me some Advance Wars, and the fact that they're bringing both of these back is really, really, really cool. Turn-based strategy at its finest. One of the best turn-based strategy games out there, especially for like beginners to the genre. And then just seeing those two games in bright HD with brand new assets and stuff like that, very, very cool. Welcome back, Advance Wars. Excited to play you in December when you decide to come out. Come out when you decide to come out for yourself. Next one was Replaced. Everyone listening to this needs to watch the trailer for Replaced. It is one of the coolest indie game trailers I've ever seen. It definitely made its mark at this Xbox E3 conference. Just the way that the characters look, the way that the world around them looks, and the juxtaposition between the two. Definitely one that I will be keeping an eye on until that comes out, whenever that may be. I believe it's at 2022 for Replaced, but I definitely want to make sure that I am on that train as soon as possible. Next was Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. I am excited that the Kingdom Battle is getting another game, even if, again, that announcement was spoiled by Nintendo before Ubisoft even took the digital stage. So good job, guys. Way to out your partner there. But I like the humor. I already like the Rabid Rosalina, who's really, seems to be very slothy or not participating, because that kind of thing. Very, very funny opening trailer. I dig that a lot. So Sparks of Hope. I have a Spark of Hope for you. Guardians of the Galaxy is my next one. I thought that was a really, really cool trailer. It just went a little bit too long on the extended gameplay. I think the dynamic between the Guardians is really, really good. I think the action is good. I think the dialogue is good and well spoken. So that is one I'm keeping on the radar for now, as I am very excited to check it out when it does come out. I believe it's October. That's what they said for that one. The next one wins my award for Best Trailer. That's The Outer Worlds 2, talking about all the different things that we're seeing and how they have to be exciting because they need to match, the everything needs to match together. It's really, really funny, tongue-in-cheek look at video game development, and one that I really appreciated. So Outer Worlds 2, Best Trailer of E3, if you ask me, just for that inherent silliness. Metal Slug Tactics is my next one. I really, really like the idea of a tactics game set in the Metal Slug universe. Those characters really fit themselves well into it, having, multiple units on your screen and you're moving them around, kind of like Advance Wars that we talked about earlier, but it has that retro feel where all of the sprites look like they're from the game, and the damage that's happening looks like it's from the game. So really, really cool idea to get this here, but not my favorite. That missed out just by one spot. My favorite reveal of E3, what I would consider the game of the show, even though those don't really happen the same way anymore, or at least not for the time being, is Metroid Dread. I thought Metroid Dread was a really, really cool announcement, a really, really cool reveal, and I'm very much happy welcoming Metroid back into the fold after such a long time away between the Metroid Prime 4 announcement and, more importantly, the core Metroid franchise, which has been away for 2 decades or so. So this is really, really cool to get Metroid back into the swing of things, hopefully ease us into Prime 4. There is some speculation that this is going to... Oh, no, not some speculation. They came out and said that this is the end of the timeline for this story, so no future stories in this universe will contain Samus or the Metroid, so it's done and dusted, the story after this one. I'm not sure where they go from here. It's kind of hard to replace an iconic character like Samus, so I imagine that it'll be enough of the Metroid and she'll be hunting for something else, some sort of open world adventure like that. But for now, she's back in 2D, she's running from giant robots, and she is the best announcement at E3, if you ask me. Loved every minute of it, loved seeing all the games, but those are the games that stuck out in my mind when I think about E3 2021. I do want to give a winner in the Who Won E3 discussion. I don't normally do this because I think those discussions are, a little silly. Who won E3? We won E3. The fans won E3 with all the games that are coming out. But if I had to pick a single winner of E3 from the publisher side, I am going with Xbox over Nintendo just slightly, and here's why. Xbox had 27 games in its presentation, followed by the Xbox Extended on this Thursday. Of those 30 games from their initial showcase on Sunday, 27 of them are coming to Game Pass day one. That's absurd. The fact that 27 of the 30 games you're announcing at E3 will be available to play day one for any subscribers of Xbox Game Pass is just, it's awesome. And that's really hard to top. Now, Nintendo has a killer lineup, but all those games are full price. With Xbox Game Pass, you have one set amount that you're paying, and it gives you hundreds of games plus all the new games as soon as they come out. How you can pick anything else to be the winner of E3, quote unquote, winner, is beyond me, because that sort of deal, that sort of promotion is hard to beat. So until Nintendo or Sony come up with their own option, I would like to think that the market is very much cornered on subscription-based gameplay like that. So there you go. Those are my favorite picks for E3 2021, the 10 best game-related announcements, plus one extra E3 announcement for anyone that is into that. One extra E3 award for anyone who was interested in who I thought won E3. Let me know at Big Man Fanelli on Twitter what your favorite games were. Would love to hear from you. Would love to hear what your thoughts were on this show, where you think it goes from here, that sort of thing. Feel free to hit me up, and we can chat about that. All right, for the last segment this evening, we're going to talk about the E3 2021 experience as a whole, which for some was unsatisfactory, and I understand that, but I'll get into why I'm giving them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt this year. It should be obvious, but I think I have to say it anyway. Let's start with the online app, the online portal that they touted as being a huge part of the E3 experience. You sign in, and you can go to these virtual booths, and you can do all these events and all this other stuff, which sounded great. I signed in on Monday, Media Week. Media was able to get a couple of days early access, but I have to be completely honest with you. Media early access to the E3 portal app meant absolutely bunk. There was nothing to it. No of the developers had anything prepared. None of the developers had anything going on just for media. It was simply you logged in, you saw the people who were participating, you could go to their booths and see what they were offering, if they even bothered to fill out what they were offering, and that was it. That was a bit underwhelming. I expected a little bit more. I expected the ability to maybe see some embargoed trailers or something like that. I guess they didn't trust the portal to do that, which I understand. E3's track record with security is not all that great, so I see why developers wouldn't do that. And when I had emailed some developers beforehand to see, some publishers beforehand to see if there was any media opportunities or anything like that, I got when I started getting some answers back, like, oh, we're not doing anything, we don't have any planned, and I'm like, you have a booth, you have a virtual booth, but you're not doing anything. That's strange. I should have known. I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. I just, did what I was doing, and all of a sudden, I'm in this media app, media early access in the portal app. There's nothing going on, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what was the point of this if there wasn't going to be anything worth digging into? And I understand that I didn't get a chance to log in because I was doing other things outside of the portal, which is another discussion point we'll get into. But I understand that the user experience for non-media was not that much different. It was the same booths that we saw. It was the same information that we saw. There was nothing available early to anyone. It was just, what was there, whatever was there was there. So as cool as it looked, and as as interesting as it could have been, I feel like it was a bit of a drop ball. I feel like there wasn't enough done with it. It wasn't utilized enough, even though the tools were there. But that's, on the that's on E3, unfortunately. It's on the organizers and the people who put the portal together, which brings me to my second point. I spent none of the actual E3 weekend in that portal. I spent it outside watching YouTube streams or Twitch streams and writing up stuff in other programs. I had no reason to go in there even when E3 was actually happening, and that is probably the biggest drop ball of all. You're going to create this excellent portal, this amazing portal app for E3 attendees to check out, virtual attendees to check out, and you're not going to do anything with it. Maybe this was just a trial run to see if they could get it to work in E3 2022, still have that virtual experience, which would be cool if you link it with people who are live streaming from the show floor and they can watch official streams only through the portal app, through like a hidden Twitch or a hidden YouTube feed or whatever, and that's how they get their stuff. That would be awesome. There are ways to make that portal must-see, especially if you go to an online in-person hybrid where you have the online portal for people who can't make it out to LA, but you also have the actual convention going on as it was before. Case in point, if they wanted to make E3 2022 only industry and media and have the public come through the virtual side, I would be personally okay with that. I'm not going to tell them what to do either way. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But that's what I would do. I would build on that portal that you've built for yourself, put some fan interactions in there, some fan activations in there, get publishers to actually do things with the fans during the E3 week, even if it's just having a virtual booth with a place where the only place they can watch the live streams from the booth or on that, and on the or like the Twitch stream is built in, or whatever you want to do. There's ways to make that portal must see, must visit, and it just wasn't like that in this particular go. So that, I think, was the biggest drop ball by E3, was not making that online app as good as it could be. But I say that, however, E3's viewership in 2021, even with all of the, craziness and the weird app and stuff like that, people who watched actual E3 presentations, the viewership was really good. So there's an industry data analyst called Stream Hatchet who went through and looked at all of the E3 streams and saw their peak concurrent viewers. So the most that were watching at one particular time. The lowest of the top 5 was 1.1 million. That's awesome. That, to me, is really, really cool that 1.1 million people were watching Devolver Digital and giving them the attention that they deserved. Square Enix came in at 1.3. Ubisoft came in at 1.4. Xbox at one point had 2.3 million people watching their conference, which was the most that the presentation had in the company's history, according to Phil Spencer himself. And then Nintendo shows up at 3.1 million. 3.1 million people watching Nintendo's E3 stream. That's awesome. That proves that obviously people like watching E3 live streams or the Nintendo Directs or stuff like that. It also proves that there are things that you can do to make them more... Like, if that Nintendo Direct was not locked behind the E3 portal, but put in the E3 portal with maybe special drops or the ability to have prizes or something like that to get E3's hands around it, that could have been a huge draw. It could have put a lot of people in that portal, but that didn't happen. I don't understand how they dropped the ball like that. Xbox does their own thing at E3. They just stay in the Microsoft Theater. I understand that. But same thing. If they wanted to put like a Twitch stream in there with drops, and if you're in the E3 portal, you have an extra chance for drops, find that integration somewhere. There is a plan based on this viewership. There is a opportunity to make E3 future-proof, to bring it into the current landscape, because let's be honest, a lot of people think that E3 doesn't need to exist anymore because companies are doing their own thing. They don't need to be under the E3 banner. It's a relic of the past to a lot of folks. I am of the opinion that there is still inherent value in bringing together the entire industry in one place for a week or so and have an entire week focused on them. All eyes on the video game industry for an entire week in June in Los Angeles. I have said this a couple times before. I consider E3 to be my Super Bowl. E3 is the Super Bowl of gaming to me, and I am not the only one that considers that to be the case. There are a lot of people who make pilgrimages to LA ever since they opened it up to the public, or they have viewing parties at their house with all their friends, and they just sit and watch what's coming out in the next year or two. And maybe that's a little, overdoing it. It is, as the most cynical of cynics like to say, it's just a big marketing stunt, and you're just falling for this marketing, blah, blah, blah. I hate that. Those people are devoid of any joy in their lives, and I feel really sorry for them. I think that the gaming industry can still benefit, like I said, from a focused, targeted 1 week. Everybody puts all their stuff on the table. Everybody plans their year around it. You know that in this week of June, anything you're going to want to find out about video games is going to happen. Just lay it out on the table. And I think that value is still there. 3.1 million people watching Nintendo's live stream at noon on a Tuesday is all I need to hear to tell me that there is inherent value in E3 gathering people just by name alone. I've said this before. I have been to, 9 E3s, E3 2010, 2011, 2012, and then every single one between 14 and 19. I have done a lot of interviews, like stand up in front of the camera interviews for news outlets while I've been out there. I can think of 3 off the top of my head. 1 for Australia, 1 for France, and 1 for a Chinese network, but the American branch of it. Australia, France, China. 3 different continents. 1 event. And that is why E3 is still valuable to me. Not only is the industry's eyes on E3, but outsiders' eyes are on E3. E3 has that inherent value that it not only brings together the gaming industry, but it brings together the world, the mainstream media, to use a very overused term. All eyes are on gaming in that week. All eyes are focused on what's coming out, from the lapsed gamer to someone who plays games every single day, and everyone in between. That is what makes E3 so important still. If you lose that central catalyst, that central event in your year, and everything is just scattered around willy-nilly, no one's really... people pay attention, but they're not focused. They're not laser focused on it like they have been in previous years. I feel like eventually the novelty of the live stream will wear, and people are going to want to clamor for live events again anyway. Because there is a difference, and I know this because I've done it, obviously. There is a difference between watching E3 alone in your house, like I did for majority of it this year, versus watching it either A, with a group of friends, or B, even more so, in the room at the conference, seeing the announcements live, hearing the energy in that room. I will never in my life forget 3 events, 1 for each company, that will stick with me for the rest of my life. E3 2010, when Nintendo brought out the 3DS, Satoru Iwata, God rest his soul, Satoru Iwata brought out that 3DS, and the energy in the room was out of sight. 2015 PlayStation conference with the triple whammy of Last Guardian, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Shenmue 3 was in that room. And then E3 2019, 2 years ago, Xbox bringing out Keanu Reeves for Cyberpunk 2077. I was in the room for all three of those instances, and the energy in that room is not something I have felt many other places, if any other place, before. That is E3's value. That is what E3 can still provide to this industry. That jolt of excitement, that measure of electricity that a normal live stream, outside of a Nintendo Direct, let's say, a normal live stream just cannot provide. There's something about Nintendo Directs, the way they're structured, the way they're written, the way they're whatever, that really still knows how to send that electricity. But Xbox live streams outside of their E3 showcases, not so much. PlayStation didn't even exist at this E3 this year, which could end up being a mistake in the long run, but it remains to be seen if they'll ever come back. I am not ready to say that E3 should die. I'm just not in that position yet. And as I've laid out here, you can see why I feel that way. It still has inherent value in reaches outside of the gaming industry. It still puts a bit of structure in the gaming schedule where everyone can come together and put out all their wares for the next year and a half, maybe 2 years. We can see it all laid out on the table. You have developers who can do interviews and talk about their games directly, which people seem to really like. It just makes sense to me. All the other companies can do their own thing. That's fine. And they're all going to seem like silos. They're all going to seem like their own little pillars. And all it's going to do is create that brand loyalty, which is what the companies want. But go to Twitter, to any post on the official Xbox Twitter account or the Microsoft, the PlayStation account or the Nintendo account, and all you're going to see is the word better when someone's talking about one console being better than the other, or ratio, which is just a stupid thing the kids do now, and it makes me want to punch my television screen. I believe in E3. I think E3 2022 can come back stronger than ever in a live setting and be the event that it used to be. It just needs to adapt. It needs to incorporate that online portal better. It needs to put things in that portal that cannot be found or gained anywhere else, be it exclusive screens to the games that are coming out, maybe exclusive gameplay demos, or exclusive Twitch drops if they watch on Twitch through the E3 portal. Something can be done to bring E3 to 2022 instead of leaving it in like the 2014, 2015 range. It just needs to adapt. It needs to adapt faster, or else it will die. And as I've said before, and I will say again, the industry without an E3 will be worse off. Now, whether you believe me or not, that's on you. But I do not want to actually find out. And with that, we are at the end of Cheesesteaks and Controllers, episode number 53. My name is Jason Fanelli, and I am the Esports and Gaming Insider for Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, iHeartRadio. I am so very fortunate and thankful that you have listened to me this evening talk on nothing but E3 for an hour straight. A lot of games to play, a lot of trailers to watch if you haven't seen any yet. A lot of things to really take in from the week that was. It was a good week. There were a lot of cool games announced, but it just wasn't the same. I think live E3 2022 back in LA, the live one, will feel normal. Will finally feel normal. I don't think that we can really compare this one to other E3s because it was all online. It's just a completely different ballgame. But I said I was done. I don't want to get too far off. Thank you so much for listening to the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast every single week. I appreciate that you spend your time with me. I hope I educate you. I hope I entertain you. And I hope I get you to play some video games if you've never played video games before. Pick up that controller. Come on now. You will like it. I guarantee you'll like it. You'll have a lot of fun with it. But until next week, thank you so much for listening. I hope you all stay safe and stay strong. Quick shout out, congratulations to my buddy Jordan on the birth of his first child. The child is beautiful. Congratulations, Jordan and his wife. Just want to make sure I shouted them out before I signed off for the week. With that, episode 53 is done. Until next week, stay happy, stay safe, and above all, stay healthy. Just have a good time. Sing it.